I should get like a cigar as well so I can match you. I should just kind of show up to the show. Here he
Okay.
is.
Okay. Don't do that. And let me tell you a story. We're live, but it's so I was when I was the Honduran analyst at CIA. Honduras decided. I think the presidential candidate name was Leonardo Callejas, and there were rumors circulating that he was homosexual. And so his team said, "We gotta do something to make you appear more manly. We have to get you to smoke cigars." I'm not making this up. First time out, he has a cigar like this. True story. Not making that up. True
Holy
story.
shit! That's adorable. That's insanely funny.
It
Far out.
sort of backfired.
It backfired so badly. I did not expect this. Holy shit!
Sorry about that.
I was just telling Brandon earlier today that I was like, because I made a joke that's dark humor. I'm like, this is gonna backfire. I can't remember what I said on the Brandon show on the show with Brandon earlier in the morning. And then I'm like, I also make dark humor jokes with one guy. Oh, it's Larry. I'm like, me and Larry always might make dark jokes. We both have dark humor. And then hours later, I'm speaking to you, and the first thing you said was about a presidential candidate smoking a cigar like this. And this
Yeah.
like proves my point. I'll tell
How you
Brandon to
hold
watch
it.
this.
It's all in how you hold it, dude.
Yeah. Well, you hold it really, really well. If not that you asked. Oh man. Oh, that's good. All right. Well, how how can I start talking about something serious now that you've talked about how the presidential
Well,
candidate
hey,
smoked a cigar?
we can keep it in a light vein. Let's start with Scott Bessent.
All right, go ahead. You can start with Scott Bessent then.
So he announces these end of the world apocalypse now, economic sanctions, or Trump said, "Oh, it's going to be the end of Iran." And we talked a little bit about this yesterday, but it's like, okay, if you're saying that Iran's completely defeated, you've wiped out their army, you've wiped out their navy, you've wiped out their air force, that Iran they don't have a missile force anymore, you've obliterated the nuclear program, then why do you feel the need to do these extraordinary sanctions? Because if you've defeated them, the Soviets, when they went into Berlin and found Hitler's body in the courtyard of the Reichstag or whatever, outside his bunker, they didn't go, you know what? We need to pose more economic sanctions on Germany. They're not defeated enough. That didn't happen
Yeah,
because they were defeated.
I was thinking that earlier today. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's Bessent then being interviewed today. I don't know if you pulled the clip where he's like, yeah, I announced these sanctions and the price of oil is going up. I don't understand.
I saw that one.
He's tacitly admitting that the Trump administration's been manipulating the price of oil. And they thought that this was just one more case where he got all his friends, told all of his friends quietly, hey, go ahead and short the oil because the price is going to fall. We're going to do this. And all the friends, maybe they went out and placed those bets.
That bonds will continue declining. We've got a spike in oil prices today that I don't really understand. Our announcement.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't.
I don't understand. God bless America. You'd think the guy'd be smarter than that.
Yeah, so first I was thinking the same thing is not that, not why are they why they're doing using economic warfare against Iran, because we know that military action didn't work. But more what I was thinking is that the MAGA supporters, the one that think Trump is winning the war, when they see the economic warfare, or what Trump calls economic D-Day, when they see that, how do they interpret it? How do they make sense of it to fit their confirmation bias that Trump is winning the war, has won the war militarily? So that's what I was thinking about earlier today.
Oh, yeah, they don't reconcile that. So the best analogy I've come up with today to explain this. Let's assume that you had a kid, and you could tell that kid, "You do what I tell you, or else you're not getting your allowance this week." You got economic leverage over that child. But if your next door neighbor has a kid, you can't just walk out the door and tell, "Hey, kid, you do what I tell you, or I'm going to cut your allowance." Kid will look at you and probably offer you an obscene gesture that involves one of his fingers on his hand and say, "You can threaten me all you want, it doesn't matter." That's exactly what the United States has done now with Iran. They're acting like Iran is its kid, that they can, they got economic leverage over Iran. They don't. They had it a year ago. You could argue they had it a year ago, but not now. With the open trade routes with Russia, with China, most importantly with Pakistan. You remember that when Trump announced the blockade, we're going to put this blockade on Iran. We're going to show them. And within like 2 days, what did Pakistan announce? Hey, we're opening these 6 trade routes overland from Pakistan to Iran. And the United States didn't scream, holler, or protest at all, because it wasn't in a position to do so. So Iran is basically outside right now the control of the United States. And then just before coming on air, I hadn't realized that China and Japan today were dumping U.S. bonds. They said, "Oh, these Treasury bills, sell them. We need the cash," which is screwing up. Scott Bessent thought, I'll control the market. He's lost control of the market now. That's why you saw the stock market basically tumble 730 points today on the Dow.
Yeah, so on the one of the shows I did today was Philip Pilkington on how the US is losing. Okay, so I was just looking at. I'll tell you what I'm looking at now, relating to the discussion on how the US is losing control of the Treasury market, and we're seeing the yields spike across the world. Now, on the economic warfare against Iran, so I know that Iran has those corridors, but those corridors don't completely compensate, as you know, for the Strait of Hormuz. So there's still economic pain because of the Strait of Hormuz. The Saudis, the Emiratis have pipelines, etc., but it still doesn't completely replace the Strait of Hormuz, even for oil. So there's still economic pain with the blockade that the Americas are inflicting. Now, when it comes to the economic sanctions and the secondary sanctions, now I'm not arguing it will work. I don't. At least they're not bombing.
Go ahead and make that argument. I'd be interested.
Yeah, I'll make the arguments. First, just to let you know my position. I really don't have a clear position on it. I haven't had time to think too much about it because I woke up and been speaking to people about it. So I haven't really had time to digest it all and research it. All I can say is at least we're away. At least for now, we're away from kinetic action. We're not bombing each other. We're not killing people. But sanctions do lead to suffering as well. So I don't want to discount that. Now, will it work? I think the big question is, will China abide by those secondary sanctions? They've been,
they've already
iffy.
They already said today. Hell no.
They didn't. That was a false report. No. I know who you're referring to. Well, Middle East Spectator posted it. They didn't. I saw the clip.
I guarantee China is not going to abide by those sanctions.
So the reason I don't know is there were sanctions earlier this year by I think it was related to Iran. They sanctioned 2 or 3 companies earlier this year. The Chinese initially told those companies not to abide by those sanctions, and then they eventually abided by those sanctions later on. So they eventually abided by.
How do we know? How do we know they abided by those sanctions?